So from my operating career and founding career, I've always run bootstrap profitable companies. So I haven't been in the valley of debt.
How biased are you when it comes to looking at founders?
And we always talk about it, right? The ecosystem hasn't evolved as we don't have those big founders.
So you are your own savior. You're going to protect your own self.
As a kid, were you very obsessed with buildings, or you just thought, hey, civil engineering is something cool, I want to study it?
So my answer was quality of life is overall going to improve because the access to resources.
Definitely there are biases, but biases in the right way. So one strong bias I have is sales CEO.
Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Nikhil from Nirman Ventures. I haven't known Nikhil for a long time, but I would let him do the intro. I don't want to introduce him.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me here, Pushkar. I'm Nikhil. I'm the founder and managing partner of Nirman Ventures. We are a venture capital fund based out of the US, but now getting active in India. There's some things in the works that I can't really discuss much about, but something exciting happening here. But my journey, I got my bachelor's here. Went to the US like many kids, some 20 years ago, and went for my graduate studies. Got a master's. Started my journey working grassroots in the industry. So I'm a construction person. I studied civil engineering, and from there on, I worked in some odd jobs in construction, but learned a lot. So a lot of really grassroots job with workers on the field, on the site. Then moved on, joined a startup in New York. After that, moved to California, joined a large corporation, Siemens. Worked there for 5 months, and 5 months in, I realized it's not the real job that I wanted. It's very bureaucratic, and I was like, fuck it, let's turn life short.
Sure.
And I wanted to launch my own company, and I turned in my resignation. And as they say, luck favors the brave. The same day, I get a call from my manager, the CEO, and I ended up getting a contract. So I didn't have a company, so I was rushing to found a company now, but in a good position because I had a contract. So I founded a company within construction and led it as a CEO for 9 years.
Wow.
And transitioned. I'm still shareholder of my companies over there in the US, and then transitioned into an investor. So angel invested along the journey, and eventually chose venture capital and assessed a few other funds that I could join. And I thought, I'm a builder. So maybe I build my own fund and get the right partners. So alongside my partners, we are here. It's been 2 years journey since we started Nirman Ventures, and it's a very Indian name, Sanskrit name, it literally translated into construction. So we're like, why pick some weird names? And
Now, do Americans pronounce it well? Can they, or do they botch it up?
yeah, most of the times they say Nirman.
Nirman, yeah. I was expecting that.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, yeah.
Superman.
Do they ask you, is Nirman a superhero from India?
No one has asked me that yet.
Great. Wow. So you've been in construction pretty much your entire 20-year career, right? Wow. That's brilliant. And I think the seed of everything you talked about. So how big was this leap of faith of just jumping off a cliff and wanting to start a company? I mean, you told about getting the contract on the first day when you never had a company around, but I mean, there must have been a lot of trials, tribulations that you must have gone through till that moment you sent in that resignation letter, right? I mean,
No, I did not.
You did?
Yeah, I think, entrepreneurs have this bone in their body
sure.
that I think, and I've tried to find what is the reason. And I think goes back to the upbringing, I feel, to an extent, because, my mother has always been very risk averse, very risky, risk taker. And then my dad is always risk averse. But my mom used to always tell me that when I didn't get good grades in school, she's like, nothing happens.
Sure.
It's, school is just a part of your life. And, worst case, if nothing works, I'll set you up with a small shop. So whenever I took a risk, and I'd still take a risk, that small shop's still in my head.
Sure.
That,
Wow.
I can buy many now.
You had a very cool. Your mom's very cool.
Yeah, no, this is very relatable because my dad was extremely risk averse and my mom was okay. And my dad used to always tell me, if you don't go for engineering or medicine, I'm going to set you up with this friend of mine who was actually a money lender. So that was my worst nightmare, right? Sitting prostrate on the floor, looking at accounts from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. That motivated me to study, actually. So it's very relatable.
So you know what happened to that money lender?
He's become a billionaire.
Okay,
And I'm
so
still
maybe you should
and
join
I'm still poor.
Oh, I thought they became an Indian VC.
Possible. I think they make better IRR than most PCs. But
No, but how old you were when you started your job? Like when you quit Siemens?
When I quit Siemens, I think I was late 20s.
So you had worked for a while, at least 3-4
I worked
years.
for a while, and I think it's very important also, right? Because I see a lot of starry-eyed kids now
sure.
that, we'll go launch a company. You don't know jack shit about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You haven't tested your product out. You haven't done a customer survey. You don't have a founder market fit. That's the first thing any VC see, know
Sure.
it. And I think, getting involved in the industry and also having a foundational knowledge of anything, because there are 99 things that can go wrong. If they do go wrong, what are you going to do? You're going to beg. So you need to have that somewhat of a cushion, and that cushion is your skill set, and that cushion is your education.
Wow.
Right.
And so it's kind of interesting because when you track different asset classes in the world, construction and real estate has always been an evergreen asset class. Even though there have been those boom and bust cycles, of course that happens with that. But I think it's very interesting that there's a lot of technology convergence that's happening in this particular space, right? In terms of monitoring how buildings are being built, looking at HVACs, energy optimization, all of that. So were there certain theses that you had in mind before you built your fund?
Yeah. So one was, just like we look for founder market fit,
Sure.
there's a VC market fit also.
Sure.
So we had a VC market fit because that's the industry we understood. The second thing we assessed was, were there any other operator turned VCs, and how many? Very few we found. So that became our secret sauce, right?
Sure.
Because why would founders come to us? So we have to really, because as a VC, we've got to be front facing in the best deals.
Sure.
So that desirability or the demand was already there in the market. And the third thing is, it's a large enough market. It's very large. It's $14 trillion
Wow.
worth of work globally that happens. It's the largest GDP. So it's it made sense, right? And then we also transitioned now, and we've expanded our thesis a little bit into energy transition and into mining and logistics and some defense, because these are all legacy industries and with overlapping technological focus, right? So it's like deep tech, a robot that works on a mine, the same terrain is on a construction site,
Sure.
right? So if something has been proved out in the defense sector, let's say a drone, if it's GPS denied, one of our startups is doing just that in Bangalore, and the same drone and the same tech capability is able to work in a tunnel because it's, again, GPS denied environment,
Sure.
or within a building while they're constructing, right? So that's kind of the thesis where, legacy industries, they need to rapidly adapt now, especially with the AI revolution. Things are going to change, and not that many people are choosing these industries. Whenever you ask like a civil engineer, why did you pick civil engineering? Half of them, they're going to say that they didn't get anything better. So that's not, most for half of them, it's not a choice.
Why did you pick civil engineering?
It was my choice.
This is choice.
But half of them are like, they go to IITs, they take civil engineering, they just want to get into IIT and NIT. That's the only branch that they get, and then they switch. So, when you look at the careers, it's like either, computers or IT. So where's the next workforce coming from? And who is that next workforce? So this transition is going to affect us the most. I feel these legacy markets that, we undervalue, but we are so dependent on it.
Right. So as a kid, were you very obsessed with buildings, fascinated with construction, or you just thought, hey, civil engineering is something cool, I want to study it? What was the trigger?
Fascination was the construction aspect and building aspect. So, my family originally is like a business family and manufacturing. I've always grown up seeing manufacturing. Although my parents, they're doctors, so they switched and they didn't want to be in the business side of things, but they still had their own practice. So,
Sure.
grown up in a business family. but seen the manufacturing aspect of things. And I was like, I always like to see things getting built. And construction was, on same thing, but on a mega scale. And I like chaos. I think, I manage well in chaos. So I can come in and there's something for me to do. I can justify my salary.
Sure.
And I think, I work well within social settings. I like people. And I don't like to sit behind my computer all day and work. So, which is like all the skill sets it required for construction and now also for VC, right? It's very much a social business.
Right. And when did you start your firm, VC fund?
VC fund was started, so we started conceptualizing in 2022. And we closed our fund in October 23. And now we're launching our next one.
Nice.
And when you started the fund, did you have certain themes in mind, like these are 3-4 trends in construction tech we are going to invest in, or you just had any idea is good enough, we'll just evaluate everything?
Now, a few themes in mind. So we wanted to be geographically agnostic. So we invest, 50% in the US, 50% capital outside the US, because that fund that we found was very much a US fund, although our investors come from various parts of the world. So our investors come from like over a dozen countries. This also makes us unique. And, they all bring certain amount of expertise, not just cash. So they all like to be involved with deals, which is what we like. We like transparency.
Transfer of technology and taking that company international becomes
the global scale.
The global scale becomes very.
And that network, that also becomes an attraction point for startup founders, because the network that they can avail through us is just unparalleled, right? So we, deep tech is kind of our focus. So anything, how I like to describe is if there's AI, most of the people are focusing on AI. We are not there yet. It needs so much capital. So we won't be frontal facing in most of the deals. So our best strategies work around AI. So everything that's happening that's going to empower AI. So data centers, infrastructure, right? Energy.
Sure.
Who's going to power data centers? That's energy transition. So micronuclear reactors, it's like big thing, So we're looking into these kind of things, which is like going to be the future of energy, of AI boom, and investing in that.
Wow. So how do you identify these trends?
Yeah, it's like...
it's insane, right?
Yeah, it is, because I think it's... obviously, there's a certain amount of experience that you gain from your prior history, but a lot of these trends are like very difficult to spot. I mean, like, for example, I follow Mary Meeker's report every year about technology and technology trends, but in your industry and the convergence of technologies in different spaces is changing quite rapidly from a landscape point of view. So how do you kind of zone into, okay, this is going to be applicable in energy, this is going to be applicable in construction, and there's going to be this intersection. How easy is that to map out?
I think it's a lot of reading. So just keeping up with what's happening, not just your industry and around industry. So like I travel a lot, so I'm an avid reader. And reading just doesn't mean books. I could read an article, I could read Wall Street Journal, I pay the subscription, versus a lot of cheapos that don't want to pay and spend that $5 a month.
I was about to say that you're already top 1% of India.
So that $5 a month is worth it, because you get access to publications like articles that others would not. So you already have an edge there. And so I think a lot of things, you read up about it, like books, this whole energy thesis and where US strategy is going defense-wise. They're like amazing books. There's a book called The Kill Chain, and it's highly recommended in the US Defense Forces. And it talks about how does US regain its superiority in terms of technology with what's happening in China. So it's like Chinese companies come in, they steal, there's no IP protection. A lot of clone companies come out there, you see suddenly.
And even the AI curve, right? I think China is far ahead of the AI curve.
But they get a jump start from US effort and US grants and US taxpayer money.
Sure.
So we pay for Chinese research, and then they take forward from there, because of course they're an autocracy, so they can take it forward faster. So why do we let that happen, right? As a country, as even India, we should ask that question. Isn't it our duty as citizens to also kind of, be responsible to protect that or do better to stop that from happening? So I think things like that, when you get into like geopolitics, venture investing is also very much, especially if you're globally investing, it's also geopolitics. You got to keep on with trends. You don't want to invest in a country that's going to be attacked tomorrow. So with what's happening.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
It's actually very interesting. I mean, if I were to tell both of you guys, I mean, I remember doing a case interview with McKinsey and Company in 2005, and one of the partners who was interviewing me asked me this question, or asked me this case, saying that if the cost of energy were to go to zero, and this is 2005, if the cost of energy were to go to zero over a period of time, how would the world change? What all things would change? And I think this was a question asked to me 19 years back, but I think we are getting to that
What
zone.
did you answer?
Well, I looked at, of course, I mean, I had to think very structured, which is not naturally me. I had a lot of classmates I'd gotten. I mean, so my answer was, I think quality of life is overall going to improve because the access to resources, a lot of people get access to things like car, steel, whatever. Chaos, I love chaos, same as you. Chaos is also going to explode because then there's going to be a lot more people vying for a lot more resources. There's going to be abundance, right? So at one end of the spectrum, there is abundance, but at the other end of the spectrum, the chaos compounds a lot faster than it's compounding right now, right? How is that going to affect construction? How is that going to affect industrial output, manufacturing? Because you come from that whole background where you have that purview, right? From family business to working for corporates to doing your own business in specific areas. I think that must be something that plays in your mind day in and day out, right?
I think two theories of what's happening with energy side of things, right? I think oil prices we see are, all-time high, were all-time high. And I think the wars is not helping it. So one theory, one thesis is, one lobby is that we keep burning natural resources like, coal and oil and, fracking. US has started fracking now again.
Sure.
And I'm sure Trump is going to double down on it basically. Because of course there's inflation. You come to the US, you see gas prices gone, it's double. It's double, yeah, pre-COVID basically. So why, again, when we have oil reserves, why do you want to bank on things that is not helping your citizens and people right now? But, there has to be a fine balance. And then there's renewable. But then there are not many countries that are blessed with land. Like solar panels requires a lot of land. Saudi Arabia, you look at them, they have land. They have sun.
And sun.
And they have capital.
Much. And they have capital, but also they don't want
oil.
to do too much with that land.
Yeah.
It's so damn hot there.
Yeah.
So for them, it makes sense. But you go to a UK, it's like land is pricey, right? Or you go to Hong Kong or Singapore, where the hell are they going to put solar panels, right? So for them, what is the solution? The solution comes, we have a solution. How are submarines powered?
Yeah.
It's nuclear energy.
Nuclear energy.
Micronuclear reactors. This is the future. We've figured out we're putting our sailors, military folks, into those submarines for several months, and we think it's safe. Then why are those micronuclear reactors not safe? Why do we want to build these dinosaur of reactors that take 20, 25 years to build?
Yeah.
Right? So I think the thinking is going to change, and now it's changing a lot. So, we were almost going to get into a company that does micronuclear reactors, came out with $40 billion worth of contracts. US company, but no contracts in the US. It's also an irony because the regulatory requirements in the US are so skewed.
Sure.
So now they're working with Nordic countries and stuff, which are, which actually think that
are very progressive.
Yeah, progressive in the data center. They want to be the provider to the data center, right? So I think these two lobbies, right? And which way it's going to go where. But I think as long as we maintain a fine balance, it's in our best interest to look at the pollution everywhere. I think we have to also invest in renewable energy, and, solar is the easiest option right now.
And the ROI has come down in the last
ROI has come down.
10 years,
Yes.
if you look at it, right?
As long
From
as
about 6-7 years, it's come down to 3.5 years. But Nikhil, tell me something. The world is very financially coupled, which means that there's a shock somewhere, it affects the rest of the world. Don't you think that the world is also going to get energy coupled to a certain extent?
It's hard because of politics. It's hard for that to happen because of politics. But I think within groups and lobbies, I think things will work out. Like BRICS, maybe they would work out their own energy needs, and they would work out their own energy transition plans. Because, things here are very different. Someone sitting in America, never traveled to India, commenting about India is, I think we should block that content. You should not even read that fucking shit.
Because are you talking about Bill Gates?
He
just said something
He
controversial.
came here
right?
with a chai wala did. He
Yeah,
did some
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
I think he said something controversial and people were talking about it. But yeah.
No, I'm just like, there are a lot of commenters, right? Like, but come and live here. Come and see what a vast majority of population go through every day.
Yeah.
And they don't have like enough money that they can buy a meal sometimes. And like, how dare you even talk about using the top-notch battery and solar technology? It's, their right to first get powered up, first, get access
Yep.
to, power. But then, also looking at the environment, we have to make a plan. So I think these lobbies will come up with their own plan, which understand their own geographies better. And in a group, I think they would interact more, is what I feel.
And most of these deals that you've done, you had inbound interest. How did you go about sourcing these deals? I mean, there's obviously this legacy that you came with and people in the space, but how did you go about that whole process?
A bunch of things. So my LinkedIn has really helped. So it's, not as strong as Pushkar's.
Pushkar's a rock star.
Yeah, he's a rock star.
We all know.
But decently okay. So it really helps get that. So we got get a lot of inbound deal flow through that, and then we're very active in universities. So I mentor NYU Stern's startup track.
Nice.
And we've been doing that for 2 years. So we see some of the best startups out there. It's a equity-free program. It's very hard to get in. Just this year alone, there were 2,000 startups that applied.
Wow.
60 got it. It's like very selective. And so, we're also involved with some other top universities. And Greg and I, we live in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, that's like the epicenter,
Mecca,
right?
everybody wants to go there.
Everybody
so
wants to
every
go
startup
there.
founder wants to go there, visit.
Yeah.
They want to soak in that energy.
Yeah.
And when they're soaking in that energy, that's when we nab them.
Nice.
So, they cross the Mecca.
It's kind of interesting because I've got a very good senior from school who's a professor at NYU, and he has done
Entrepreneurship.
2 or 3 companies. No, computer science. He's a brainiac. I think he was PhD from Berkeley, but he's an NYU tenured professor, and he's done like 2 or 3 companies with his master students, and some of them have gone on to raise $30 million, $20 million. So the university angle makes a ton of sense, right? Especially in the areas that you're focusing in. If you just look at the top 50 universities in the US in those areas and then replicate that globally, I think that's an immense pull that you get.
And we're also going to do the same model in India. So we are going to be very active in the IITs and ITs circle. So the portfolio company here, based out of here, 2 founders. One is IIT, one is an IT.
Perfect.
And so best.
You guys have the network. I mean, those guys are the network.
And I've recently, last year, I think I went to Roorkee, joined their startup pitch day. Also, spoke with the founder, spoke with the students there. I think there's a lot happening in these universities, and they don't have the right channels right now. I think, there's also a little bit of predatory mindset with some, which is great, which is an opportunity for us.
Yeah.
To come and standardize things and clean things up. And also, be true to what the mission is.
Sure.
We tell the founders, listen, we don't want your equity if you're not investing. Don't give that to anybody.
Yeah.
Don't give that, it's like, keep it close to your chest unless someone is really adding value, right? Like yesterday, Pushkar and I had a workshop for founders and he was talking about, how it should be vested. Everybody should be vested. It's like an employee. Your advisor is an employee. Most of the time we see startups here, they're like, cap table is fucked up.
Yeah, it's because first generation founders are extremely gullible, and they get taken for a ride, especially because there's a lot of information out there, and there are a lot of actors as well.
Bad actors.
Yeah. Bad apples as well. So, you make a very, very good point, because I think there's a certain point where you have to be very honest, transparent, and give that advocacy.
Yeah.
Not just predatorily looking for deals, but just say, hey, buddy, this is the way you do things. This is the way you structure things. You don't take my money, but at least there's goodwill, right?
And one thing is, we're pretty brash. My LPs call me scrappy sometimes. It's great. And they like it. That's a good way, scrappy. Because I'm not afraid. Like, honestly, I'm not taking if I see bad happening,
yeah,
so I'm going to call
a
it out.
spade, yeah.
Call a spade a spade in a nice professional way.
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal about it. I'm like, listen, there are a couple of companies we reviewed recently. Amazing company. We love them. Founders, brilliant.
Nice.
It's a Kerala-based company. we reviewed. Another one we reviewed in Bombay and Mumbai.
Yeah.
You can call it Bombay.
So next time we need to take him to the huddle, huh? We need to take him to the huddle, yeah.
So when I was there, I looked at those companies and amazing. Love the founders. Look at the cap table. One fucking CVC sitting with 27% equity
Wow.
on the company, right? Early stage. They're raising their seed or I was like, this is
27%.
27 or 25+%, right? And he looked at one of them with me.
This
because
is
I
like
wanted,
a 2012 sort of cap table, not a 2024 cap table.
I know. That's how they work. It's like, these family business operators, they started a CVC and now they think, they deserve that kind of equity from founders. They don't understand they are making them uninvestable.
Yeah,
Because,
27% is like a venture studio model.
and I explained it to the founder. I said, this is your seed. Let's say hypothetically remove this messy cap table. You raise 27, you guys are 40%. Rest are investors are 60% or whatever.
Sure.
Let's do the next round. 20% is gone again.
Yeah.
Guess what? The guy who has 27%, he has pro rata.
Yeah.
He's going to prorate. He has the money. You guys don't. You jokers don't.
Yeah.
So you're going to get diluted down. By the third round, from now,
There's no
you
incentive
have
for you.
5%. No, more than incentive.
There's
I,
no-
as a VC, want to invest in the founder.
Yeah.
I don't want to invest in an investor.
Sure, exactly,
So-
exactly,
It becomes the investor's company then.
exactly.
So I think this changing the mindset, and if more good VCs get in, who are true to themselves, and they also like whoever are playing the bad part, they also kind of check themselves now, because times are changing, and these are all global. There's going to be global teams, and
Yeah, I think you actually hit upon the point that both of us discuss a lot. And I think it stems from the fact that we don't have so many operator VCs here because the venture capital business is 15 years old, 18 years old tops. So we don't have that 70 years of tradition that the US has where you've got successful entrepreneurs exited, decided to do the next company, then build a fund, and they're able to give real good advice. And that's kind of trickled down the ecosystem. I think we're getting there. It's going to take its own time. But I wish we have a lot more operator VCs in India, for sure.
I think the wave is coming.
Yeah.
I think the wave is
I
coming
agree.
because as people also get the exits or have built good companies, now they get it back into venture.
Yeah.
And not necessarily you have to build the unicorn and get into venture. If you built a unicorn and got a unicorn exit, you're not going to work.
Yeah.
So you should not be a VC.
You should be on the beach. Yeah, you should be on the beach sipping pina
Yeah,
coladas.
man, just chill.
Just chill.
Invest in other fund managers. They're all going to hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
So and think of them. It's a career. It's like it's a hard job. Pushkar knows it. Meeting founders. Yesterday we finished our session. Now he's like downstairs with a guy who's built like a shitty scooter. I'm not going to call it shitty, but it's like scrappy founder. But those are the folks that we want to be in, and that's our day in, day out.
Yeah. So, Nikhil, I was reading somewhere, I think a couple of weeks back, that building a VC fund is a 25-year gig.
It's a 25-year
It's a 25-year gig, right? It's like, you could say a company is probably like 4 years, 5 years if you're lucky. Otherwise, it's a 7 years to 10-year journey. But a VC fund, you go through the cycle, multiple funds, is a 25-year-old gig. So you're in it to win it for the next, I think Jeff Bezos is probably the one guy who probably thinks really, really long term, but still 25 years is a big time commitment, right? But you see that there's enough opportunity out there and you wake up every day and you can find interesting founders. What keeps you going?
The founder energy. So I lost it. I lost that because, I did that very early on in my career.
Sure.
And I think I was looking for that energy, to be around that energy.
Sure.
And, they give me the power every day. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I love what I do. I love, you can't take me out of this.
Yeah.
There'll be fight. And so, I think it's just that I'm so passionate about what I do. So yes, building a fund or a firm like a Kleiner Perkins or,
Sure.
A16Z or whatever might take 25 years. But that doesn't stop us from doing what we love we're doing.
Sure.
So as long as you enjoy the process.
Sure.
Right? And after 25 years, if I build what? Who do I give it to?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, the Kleiner Perkins and all these guys might want to give it to someone. Our mission is different. Our mission is to support right now, get involved with the best deals. Yes, produce great returns for our LPs. That's, of course, the primary thing. But also there is a purpose why we're here. And, as long as we enjoy the process, it's great.
Sure. And
like, what's the biggest difference you see between Indian VCs and US VCs? Because this is one of our favorite topics.
He started with a laugh, so it gets interesting.
So half of the VCs in India, you discount them. They're not even VCs. They've launched something. They're not investing. So if you look at their active investors, there's nothing, right? And they're doing angel stuff and, sharkish shit. You also go to Shark Tank India. There are a few folks, we know it very closely because we bought in from one of that deals that they promised to fund. They don't fund. So a lot of these things happen. And I understand there's a diligence process that everybody has to go through, but this is beyond diligence process. This is just a mindset of, brokering deals rather than investing. So, that's one difference. In the US, I'm not saying there are not such people, but it's a more mature market. So founders ask questions too.
Yeah.
Right.
Founders are not afraid to ask questions, right? And we welcome those questions from founders. So I think, in general, I think US is more mature because it's been there for a long time. Everybody comes there. It has a good mix of ecosystem of various VCs from all over the world coming. So India is, I think, lagging there. The funding mechanisms in India, bad, too long, not standardized. SHA is like 60-page document, 60 to 70 pages. We finished a deal in the US, early stage, 7 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 pages, safe note, signed, done. Right? Even if it's not a safe note, like, shareholder agreement, signed, done. Right? It's very easy, very quick. And so I think Europe, you see 20 to 30 pages. So you can just tell by the number of pages. So 1 to 10 US.
Yeah.
20-ish in Europe. And this is 60, 70 pages. And when you look at early stage deals here and their SHA and you go through the matrix, rights matrix, dude, they've taken their first one.
Yeah.
It's like, give me this, give me that, give me reserve matter rights for shit money.
Yeah.
25 lakh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And founders,
crazy.
they don't have a choice, right? So they end up giving that away. And I understand also from the VC's perspective, because founders are not yet that mature to, manage VC money. But I think you are building a trust, right? So you should trust those founders. And if there are trust issues, you should not be investing in them.
Exactly.
In the first place, right? Because what kind of relationship you're starting?
If you find a brilliant founding team solving for a great problem, I think you should figure out how to get the deal done and not get stuck up in the nitty-gritty and not try a noose around somebody's neck. Hey, because let's admit it, we are in a risky freaking asset class.
Yeah.
You need to set them up to succeed. If they fail, that's fine.
And no matter how long a SHA you sign, it's not going to prevent either a business failure or fraud.
Right. Exactly.
So like you said, if you don't trust the founder, don't invest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't sign a 90-page SHA. And we always talk about it, right? The reason the ecosystem hasn't evolved is we don't have those big founders who had made their money, so we don't have operator VCs.
Yeah.
Most Indian VCs, they're more like wealth managers. They're more like fund managers. They're not exactly people who fund innovation.
With the entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah. They're all like MBAs, bankers,
Totally.
who think they're managing a private equity fund or a wealth management company. And I don't know how long will that mindset change. Like, will it take 10 years, 20 years? I have no idea. Eventually, it will change, of course.
I think
it will change. It's a process.
Like it's a process, right? I mean, I think you go through those cycles today. You've got a lot more founders who've had exits, putting money into funds, putting money directly into companies, becoming VCs. So they're going to impart that knowledge of, this is what I did that made sense. This is what I should not be doing, to the next generation. And it's a generational thing, right? So it is going to happen. It's going to happen. I think we hope that podcasts like this and other people out in the ecosystem gets the message out, and founders are going to ask a lot more questions, because there's no stupid question, right? You rather ask that stupid question before you sign that term sheet.
Maybe, just an idea for you guys. You should get a founder and VC with you both.
Yeah, right.
That should make sense.
Moderating.
Yeah, that should make sense, right? Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
Because I also think the balance of power in India is skewed towards investor too much.
Pedestal.
Yeah.
Put the VCs on the pedestal.
Especially for a first-time founder,
Yeah.
for them raising capital is so difficult.
It is.
And it's not that India doesn't have capital. It's just that we don't have the right mindset. But
India has a lot of capital. I think people don't look at it as an asset class yet. They
Not
don't
yet.
have the maturity yet. So, like you said, it's one of the riskiest asset classes before gambling. But honestly, it's if this 3 to 5% of high net worth, ultra high net worth portfolio should be venture investing.
Yeah.
Because this is what's going to give you
that alpha return.
Because this is your next PayPal.
Yeah.
Which a plug and play or someone invest $125,000 and make fucking $100 million.
Yeah.
Where else that could happen? This is your private equity.
Exactly.
You're going to 2x, 3x.
Yeah, you get a 3x, 4x.
Put in S&P, put in ETF.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait for 10 years.
Exactly. I think the good part of it, and we were having a conversation with Zaran as well, is that a lot of family offices today are realizing that they need more exposure. They need more direct exposure into the startup space. So that's number one. Number two is they're able to think really long term. They're not closed-ended as a fund, and they have that other foundational businesses and other help that they can bring to a startup. So that's a very, very healthy thing that I'm finding in the ecosystem as well, which is probably not the case 3 years back, 5 years back. I mean, a family office would put money into a plethora of funds and then ride it out. Today, they're more aggressive. They want to build that private investing team, which is a very, very healthy sign for the ecosystem by and large.
They're becoming more serious. But I always wonder, how is it in the US? The US family offices, do they invest directly or do they invest through funds?
So US family offices, I have a contrary thinking. So I'm a contrarian on this. So US family offices, they don't do this farce of investing themselves.
They don't.
Yeah, they would invest in mature company, which is a private equity blended.
Got it. So they just put money into the early stage funds.
I've talked to a dozen family offices maybe.
Sure.
Garbage. Garbage is the people who are managing the money.
Got it.
Because these are kids out of like CFA license now.
Also, they don't understand the asset class. They don't have any operator experience.
No, they don't have operating expertise.
Sure.
And they're afraid of everything.
Sure.
And then they want to run and be, dude, like who's reaching out to you? No one. Like you're not finding the early deals.
Yeah, you're not getting deal flow.
You're not getting early deal flow. You're getting deal flow from other funds.
Got it.
Right? And then, I think they should stick to what their superpowers are and let the other fund managers do the investing part. So US has gone beyond that cusp already.
Okay.
US family offices, they're like, dude, this is not worth it. Like we manage $1 billion. We're going to put $100 million or $50 million into VC. Is that worth our time? Or $950 fucking million is worth our time?
Sure.
So they focus on the $900 million.
Real estate
portfolio, whatever.
Yeah, so this is allocated. Asset class allocated.
Done.
So they would probably put it into a fund or directly into funds.
Exactly.
And that's it, done.
Exactly.
So you don't have to do...
Because that's the best. Dude, like again, a fund manager is the person you're betting on or is a group of people you're betting on, right?
Yeah.
That their eye and their instinct is what is going to get you those returns.
Sure.
You cannot hire that individual and place that person in your office. Rarely it's going to happen. Rarely that they will get you those early deals and they will also get you allocation. Most of the times these family offices don't even get allocation to the best deals.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because it's the same situation with the VC landscape as well. Because I had a friend of mine who told me about a couple of months back saying that, hey Sandy, there are 100 deals in the ecosystem that everybody wants to get into.
Yeah.
The remaining 950, maybe not too many people want to get into. Right? So everybody wants to clamor for that 100 deals and then there's this whole,
So we at least get access to 20 of those.
Yeah.
So in a year, that's great.
That's great.
We get access to some amazing opportunities. Sometimes it doesn't even match our thesis. And I start drooling. But then, I can't do much about it.
Sure.
But then I trigger that to other people.
Other people as well.
That's how you get the quality deal flow. And founders also then choosy. If they have so much demand,
sure.
Literally, one of my portfolio company founders, there's a VC that's chasing me because my founder won't respond to his email.
Got it.
He wants to invest $80 million in that startup. $80 million. Seriously. My founder's like, I'm not ready for that round.
Sure.
I don't want his money. I'm building. I'm heads down building now.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, and this same VC firm, I think the founder was chasing him like a couple of rounds ago. It's like perfect example.
Nice. How biased are you when it comes to looking at founders? Because everybody, he has his own bias. I have my own bias. But you've been an entrepreneur. You've known that certain things have worked, certain stereotypes, patterns. Like you said, dude, I'm a hustler. I can do shit. I can operate at low level. I can clean toilets. So is that kind of the scrappiness that you look for founders? Do you look for more elevated clarity of thinking in a particular space, ability to build teams? What is it that really floats your boat?
So I can't clean toilets, by the way.
I
cannot.
You cannot. Okay. I can, bro. I can.
Okay,
anything.
But, yeah, definitely there are biases, but biases in the right way. So biases, one strong bias I have is sales CEO.
Oh.
Sales CEO.
Sales CEO.
Sales CEO. So either one. So it's the entrepreneur and the inventor. That founds an ideal team. Co-founder. So also startup journey is very lonely.
Sure.
So single co-founder is hard, although we've invested in a single co-founder before. So we've also gone against our own stereotypes.
Thesis. Yeah.
Which is sometimes amazing.
Crazy.
An amazing founder comes and impresses us.
Yeah.
And we're like, we have to back this guy. Whatever happens is fine. We got to back this guy or gal, right? And then, I'm skewed a little bit towards women entrepreneurs. We find less of them in the market. So women co-founders, founders, it's like, we try to
And
give them a little
especially
bit
in
more
the
time.
spaces that you look at, it's kind of tough.
It's
very,
tough.
very tough.
But also it's very lucrative for them if we find one.
Got it.
Because they also get a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, and they get a lot of attention and they're able to go in and convince people as well,
Exactly.
right?
I didn't say that, but yeah, it's like,
Sure.
it is how the market is. It's like a old boys club industry.
Sure.
And I think there's so much opportunities for smart, intelligent women to come in. So, if someone wants to build, they should build in legacy sectors,
Sure.
legacy markets, because I think there's a lot of potential. So two things, sales CEO, we've struggled, we've failed investing in non-sales CEOs. And then someone, recent analysis is grant money. If founders are too used to grant money, then they become researchers.
Oh yeah, they become researchers.
And then they wait for the next grant to happen.
Yeah,
So their hand
exactly.
becomes like this. So, it's like you get obsessed with your customers. So this is what I tell all our portfolio founders. Get obsessed with customers. Don't get obsessed with your product. Your product, greatest, no good if it's not in the hands of the customer.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's a conduit.
Yeah.
If you can empathize with the problem statement and the customer,
Yeah.
I think you're onto a good thing.
Totally.
Wow.
And you have also worked with Indian founders, US founders.
Yes.
What are the biggest differences? Because we talk about investors, US and Indian founders, US founders. Biggest differences.
Founders are the same. Little bit more finesse. It's because Indian founders have not been trained enough. So I think what Pushkar you're conducting in your workshops, and now we're going to do physical workshops together. I think this is going to help more founders learn what not to do. And sometimes it's just the presentation. Like we literally had a case study. One of our portfolio companies was in Dubai, pitching at a global stage over there, and about 100 startups were there, and 200,000 attendees, massive conference. And these guys came out winners. But if you look at the first version of their deck, you'd be like, oh my God, like it's all words. It's 3-minute presentation. So, they've never been trained that how do you go and command the stage? Go up, center of the stage.
Sure.
Take your team, take more people. Like, okay, this is what I do. I come from prestigious institutes. Now the world knows IIT. Now it's not in, back in the day. And my business partner, our other GP in the fund, Greg Wallace, also, one of my closest friends, and, we colluded and, worked on Nirman together. So he told the startup that their pitch was originally that we are from IIT. IIT is like the MIT of the US.
Yeah.
This guy says, no, switch it. Say, we're from IIT. MIT is the IIT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's storytelling,
US, right?
And it's impact. Yeah.
That stuck. That stuck. So after their presentation, some of the people that came and said, that stuck with us.
Yeah.
Right? So be proud, wear your pride on your sleeves. So I think, India is like, this is India's time.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
way India is
We
like
agree, we
scaling
agree.
up, I think, we got
I think
like,
this is India's century. What are the pitfalls that a first-time founder should look out for? What are the kind of 3 mistakes that you've made that stuck with you?
so
I wish you hadn't
yeah.
made.
So from my operating career and founding career, I've always run bootstrap profitable companies.
Sure.
So I haven't been in the valley of death. So there's something called a valley of death.
Yeah.
So if you look at the percentage statistics of how many founders raise a pre-seed and how many actually raise a seed, it's insane. Like only 5% of them make it.
Yeah, less than 5%
Right,
make it there.
to make it there, right? So that's your value of death, because they get too easy, too comfortable, and your VCs, they want you to burn that capital in 12 to 18 months. So the whole thinking and the mindset changes. I think startup founders also should start challenging the VCs. Okay, go with the plan, and pre-mortem analysis, feedback, customer feedback, do all of that. It's very important. And then once you make a plan, go with the plan, stick with it for 6 months, 8 months. If you're realizing this is not working out, time to
Switch.
pivot,
Yeah.
switch, conserve. Fuck your VC, because that's not going to they're not going to come to rescue. Because how VCs work, guess what? If you're not doing well,
2 out of
you're
30.
not getting funded.
Yeah,
The
2 out of
startup
30.
who's, yeah, exactly. The startup who's doing well, that's getting funded. So you are your own savior. You're going to protect your own self. So this is something that I feel.
Nikhil, this was really insightful. Thanks for taking the time out, and I'm sure that people like you and us collaboratively can help a lot of founders. Everybody, please like, share this podcast, and we are in this beautiful place provided by Beehive. They've been excellent space sponsors. See you next time.